Call the September 5th Site Plan Review Technical Advisory Committee meeting to order. I'll note that we have a quorum. First item of business is the approval of the minutes from August 1st.
I move to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Before we get into new business, I'll note that the application for 111 State Street for the parking CUP, they've requested to postpone. So we'll move that to the October meeting. That brings us to item A, the request of Pease Development Authority owner for property located at 360 Corporate Drive requesting construction of a 3-story healthcare complex with approximately 52,000 square feet of gross floor area to allow space for up to 10 tenants, which include an ambulatory surgical center, imaging center, and plastic surgery center. The project includes 125 vehicle parking spaces, 2 loading docks, as well as associated paving, stormwater management, lighting, utilities, and landscaping. Said property is located on Assessor Map 315, Lot 5, and lies within the Airport Business Commercial District. Who's here to present? And I have your presentation, if that's what you want to...
That would be fantastic.
Here we go. Let's see.
View.
Yeah.
You can always scroll through it.
All right. Here we go. All right. Go ahead.
All right. My name is Jeff Kilberg. I'm with Apex Design Build. I'm a project director with Apex. We've been working extensively with not only ATDG, but obviously the PDA in the background. This is my colleague, Jason.
Yeah, my name is Jason Bergwerf. I am also operating the same capacity as Jeff Kilberg with Apex Design Build, and really appreciate the opportunity to come before you and present this project, and look forward to hearing you guys' feedback.
So just to start off, obviously first page here, I know you guys were part of the workshop session. We really appreciate the feedback there, obviously, as well. But this is a view from Corporate Drive, so if you were looking basically about northeast is what it ends up being. That's the front facade of the building. And then if you go to the next page, it gives you another perspective from the Corporate Drive entrance on the top right, and then the rear of the building basically gives it a large atrium effect that looks out the rear at the wetland space. It features a 6.12 acre site, modern architectural design with neutral color scheme that also complements neighboring buildings. Contrasting entries for wayfinding, front canopy for covered patient pickup and drop off. Upscale durable commercial grade materials, features fiber reinforced cement panels, heavy gauge aluminum composite cladding, high volume of glazing, as you can all see both front and rear of the building. In terms of planned right now, imaging center, ambulatory surgery center, plastic reconstructive surgery are the 3 planned options. We're still in discussions with other tenants and have had good conversations in the background. There's a total of 124 parking spots. We did have a MRI trailer located at the back, and I think that was talked through a little bit more in depth last time. And the building and site design has really been meticulously designed. As you all are aware, there's a lot of wetlands on the site, and we worked in the background with the PDA to come to a spot where we're not affecting any wetlands or wetland buffer. So moving to the next page, wanted to give you guys, direct feedback from the previous workshop meeting. I know some of this font is a little bit small. What I did is isolate things that were big picture items that needed to be addressed absolutely for this meeting. Now, there's a number of comments that came as a result of we'll call it details that would come on like construction documentation or permit level documentation. And I know there's some additional questions that came out from today as well that we would like to talk to. Mr. Howe, drive aisle width was increased at the front of the building 26 feet. So that allowed us to shorten basically the parking spots at that location. We are providing clearances for emergency vehicles, whether it's fire truck or ambulance in that situation. Public Works feedback, so there was a question about underground power connections. We have talked to Eversource. This has been incorporated and updated on the site plan. I know there's a comment that came through today about an open trench versus directionally boring, and we'll definitely take that into account for the next rendition. There are 2 water services to the building now, so we have the fire service and the domestic water service as well. Those will be final size per the mechanical engineer. And obviously, we're engaged with the mechanical engineer on the project to get through those phases. The mill and repave on International and Corporate Drive. I understand that we need to further delineate this on the drawings, but it has been incorporated for the time being, and then hoping to get some feedback from you all on what that looks like in terms of delineation spots where you'd like to start and stop. The landscaping plan feedback, there was a general note that came back through today in terms of planting, and I'm assuming what we'll do is update that on our permit drawing set, but basically the landscaping plan has been designed to meet all requirements of Portsmouth. Revisions to the survey for full extent of the water main and for the certified wetland scientist stamping. So all that has taken place. The full extent of the water main is shown on the survey, and it has been stamped off by Damon Burt of Fraggle Rock Environmental. And then, Mr. Eby, you had some questions on truck turning and radii at the entrances. We did increase the radii, and I know there's another question that came back through today. But obviously, the site's been designed for a WB62, which has a 48-foot trailer and a 15-foot truck cab assembly. The site itself has logical access points from both International and Corporate Drive, but accommodates placement of the MRI trailer on the northerly side of the imaging center. It's anticipated that that MRI trailer will be there every 3 to 6 months at maximum, potentially even less. And then we did adjust the radii, but I think there's some feedback on the Corporate Drive side where it sounds like it'd be good to adjust the radii slightly more at that point. So this is the updated survey. Just wanted to show that it has been updated. Does have the stamp at the lower right side for the wetland side. Next page, this is just a depiction. I know we've talked about previously, and the PDA has stressed this to us, is the site has to be compatible for keeping all spoils on site. So this is a net positive site. This shows a depiction of a site preparation plan along with spoil stockpile located at the lower left-hand corner. Jumping over to the next. There is a question on stormwater management plans. This is obviously, we're getting, I would say, like an 80% set essentially right now. So basically, once we get to a permit level drawing, this will all be accommodated. You'll have further details of the underground system. But right now it's stipulated to be an ADS underground stormwater management system. It does feature treatment devices prior to entering wetlands to mitigate any issues that may come of the stormwater runoff. Out of the last meeting, there was some conversation regarding the sidewalk. So the sidewalk has been adjusted. There's a couple new conversations that came outside of that. Most notably, the ADA ramps at the entrance off of International. Those will have to be incorporated. There will have to be accommodation to the bus drop-off area, and we'll get into further detail on that, as well as the mill and paving. But I did want to highlight those items have been updated as of right now, as well as the 26-foot drive aisle at the front of the building. In terms of utilities, so this rendition is obviously very different from the last one. We talked about an overhead electrical service to the building. This rendition is based on Eversource's feedback. Michael Busby gave this feedback directly, and then we've submitted formal documentation to them for that service. But basically, he's talking about a redundancy loop that feeds off of the next door neighbor, that being the transformer located at the college. And then that would come back through and tie into the underground system located across the street on Corporate Drive. This does obviously include the 2 new water services, 1 fire service and 1 domestic. We talked a little bit about the radii, so I wanted to include the truck turning radius to show the depiction of movement through the site. We can discuss increasing the truck or the radii for truck turning radius at Corporate Drive, and I think that's something that's easily accommodated without a doubt. So with that said, ran through obviously the things that came up that were big pertinent items last time, but would appreciate any comments or questions from you all as well.
Did you address all the comments that were sent out today, or can you run through those? I know they were sent out just today, but
Yeah. So we're happy to answer those questions. Just as a clarity standpoint, I think what we would be requesting is that any changes that come through the drawing phase, we'd like to incorporate those on like a permit drawing set. There are some details that are being requested that wouldn't come until, we'll say, like a CD phase or a permit level of drawing. So that's what we would like to request on the front end, and obviously open to your all feedback. In terms of driveway on Corporate, we talked about enlarging larger radii there. This can definitely be updated. I would just ask what would be the preferred radii that Portsmouth would like to see in that situation.
Truck turning movements had the truck going over the yellow line to make the movements. So I think that's what they're trying to avoid.
Okay.
Maybe I'll chime in on that too. I'm Brian Jones with Allen & Major. We're the civil engineer and landscape architect for the project. So yes, they are crossing over the middle line. We do see these as sort of irregular deliveries, having a truck of this size. We can talk to the tenant again to just make sure that a WB 62 is actually required. I think there is a upper limit to how much the radius is going to help here. So
Most of the deliveries will be from box trucks. This is over-engineered.
Sorry, if you're going to speak, just come up and state your name and speak into one of the microphones.
My name's Dr. Slocum. I'm one of the team members. This is very much over-engineered. The majority of the deliveries that are going to happen, probably over 90% are going to be just from a box truck. I've seen enough trucks stuck in places that, we are trying to over-engineer it, but I do think that, at this point, if we can make it so they don't cross over the yellow line, we'll do it, or we'll try to do it. But, as it stands right now, this is going to be a rare occurrence for this size vehicle.
Realistically, the biggest component that Brian's pointing out is probably the width of Corporate Drive.
Yeah.
In terms of that. So you're not going to be able, you could increase your radii up to, let's say, 30 feet. And sure, that makes it a general more sweeping corner, but yeah, without a doubt, I think the biggest, easiest way is probably to reduce truck size in this instance, in the truck turning radius, to maybe something more of like a 40-foot total.
well, what you expect to come regularly. One other thing for consideration is there's a utility pole on Corporate Drive, and if you increase the radius, then that has to be relocated, which can be done, but this is about the upper limit of what a WB 62 can do, just because of how Corporate Drive is. I mean, obviously, approaching from the north, it's less of an issue. If you're approaching from the south, then yes, you have to cross the line.
Yeah, it's not crossing the center line so much as the concern is, but they're going over the curb on the far side of Corporate Drive. So just,
Right, and part of that maybe is not graphically shown well. Eric, the overhang of the truck is shaded, not the wheel path. The wheel path itself is not going over the curb.
I got you.
You know, the truck extends beyond the wheels, and that is what the hatch mark shows.
Which, in the wintertime, there would be a snowbank there. So.
Theoretically, that could also be a problem, although, you know, it's quite often for vehicles to have a portion of their front end going over a curb, and the wheels are not hitting the curb.
Couldn't you prohibit trucks from entering northbound and just, or is that too unorthodox?
It's hard to enforce something like that.
It's a rare occurrence. I don't think it's really that big a
So
deal.
any-
What was the radius on the driveway? Where are they?
It is, I believe, shown on the drawings, and I
20 or
think we're
30.
at 20 and 25. And the 20 is only because there is a utility pole there. And then on International Drive, it's 30.
Brian, could we increase the radii to 30 on the north side of that?
Yes.
I think one of the other things that we'll do is we'll work with one of the tenants, the ambulatory surgery center, being will be managed by a firm that has a pretty good bead on what what kind of or what a lot of their deliveries occur with, and I'll ask them for some. We'll solicit some data, and then work with that so that we have, not more accurate data.
And I was going to say, too, it could be stipulated within the lease arrangement with the ASC, with imaging, so on and so forth, size stipulations of trucks for delivery, without a doubt.
Yeah. I think if you went to the 30-foot radius on that one corner, I think that could help you a lot. And, you don't want to have a situation where you have trucks running over the curb and, tearing up, making it look lousy in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
With the rarity of having a truck of this size there and adjusting the radius to 30 feet, would that satisfy what you guys are looking for now, or do we need to make an adjustment and reevaluate and come back?
I think that, and then we'll also come back with the, hey, we think majority of our deliveries are going to be this size, this turning radius, and then I think we do one more, potentially one more turning radius exercise with that actual truck, just to show how it sits on the new one.
Yeah. I think the 30-foot should do it, the 30-foot radius.
One thing that you're not showing here is our apparatus and turning template for that, particularly where we're going to be accessing the front of the building, which is designed as the aerial access area.
Hopefully that's very rare.
But it's also quite important to be able
Yeah.
to get there.
Exactly.
And that's something that we could definitely include in revised drawings, without a doubt.
Just because, even though this truck is larger, we don't have a tiller. So there are times where this truck will work and our truck won't work. And also that to access the front. And the aerial apparatus road should be, 26 feet is good, but it should be a minimum of 15 feet from the building, a maximum of 30 from where it starts. Because we can't be too close to the building and hit the windows with our ladder.
Makes sense. Okay. So what takeaways I'll say in that case is, let's take a look at the apparatus for fire engine side, but also increase the radii to 30 feet on what is the north side of Corporate Drive entrance.
You're saying the access aisle can't be right next to the building.
Correct. Gotta be
So you gotta
15
flip the
feet off.
parking.
Sorry?
So you may have to put the
You're gonna have to
parking
flip
against
the
the
parking.
building.
To do that. You can't push the building back.
Correct.
So as you position your fire apparatus, it can't be on the, let's say, the bottom side of the drive aisle, the west side, 15 feet away from the building. It's a 26-foot wide drive aisle, so you could have your fire truck and still be 15 feet away from the building.
I would just go with Appendix D of the 2018 IFC, which states clearly there'll be a 26-foot wide aerial apparatus access road. It will be no less than 15 feet from the building, and no more than 30 feet from the building. It's pretty clear.
Isn't that what we have, though? We have a 20...
Not on the
Oh, no.
right side, you have to swap the parking, put the parking against the building, and then put the road to the right side, and then you'd be maintaining the 15-foot distance to the building.
We're not talking along the front of the building?
We are?
I think you're talking about the right, we're here.
I'm down here in the
How
front.
about that?
So we would count this as the front of the building as the aerial apparatus
That's the-
access.
yeah, okay.
And reaching over the cars is not a concern?
Need to reach
We,
over.
the turntable was above the level of the cars to begin with.
Okay. We might lose a couple of parking spaces, but I don't think that that's maybe 2 over on the left. But, I mean.
Very minor
Yeah,
overall.
yeah, well, that's,
Yeah, we'll take a look at it and play around with the apparatus.
And when you show the turning template, just make sure you show it going all the way through and back out.
Okay. Maybe even check,
2?
Yeah.
there was, moving on to the next question, there was talk about sidewalk tip downs at international and corporate intersections on the driveway, and then obviously with the truncated dome tiles that comply with ADA. So that will be updated on the next version plans that's missing at International Drive, and then we'll update also the sidewalk width and dimensioning for that.
Can I actually chime in on that too, Jeff? Sorry. So on International Drive, we actually don't envision tip downs there. I know the curb will be flush, but...
Here only. This is the only spot that you need them.
Okay,
The truncated domes, yeah.
Right there.
right.
Cross street intersections, we don't require them crossing driveways.
Well, the curb, I mean, it will be flush on International Drive.
Don't need truncated dome panels there, nor do we want them.
Okay. Yeah, I did get thrown on that because there was no truncate domes last time.
Let's say crossing driveways last
I
time.
mean, you're right, you're right. So at the intersection,
Yeah.
got it.
And you were talking about tip downs at the International Drive driveway?
Yes, so the curb will tip down,
So you're just confusing
Tip downs there.
it. Okay.
but
They're tipped down, but there's
It's tip down, there's no
truncated
truncated dome.
panels.
Yeah.
They're flush.
yes,
Yeah.
when, I don't need to, the curb will tip down there, but the sidewalk will just hit the pavement, right? So it's not like you're 8%.
And most importantly, there's no cast iron panels there.
Yeah.
You got it.
Thank you.
Also, as part of it, I'm going to kind of combine it with the sidewalk side, is the wheelchairs at the bus area to be ADA compliant. This will have to be updated. Obviously, this has been shown as a current setup or current size setup, so this will have to be updated. It was asked that landing areas be 8 foot by 8 foot with full curb heights, so we'll definitely accommodate that on the next version. Does Portsmouth have a standard detail that they would refer to in this situation, or we just have Brian create one?
Yeah, the ADA standards.
Okay. Next question, confirm bus shelter is placed correctly with the ADA accessibility. That all kind of pan into that side. The 5.5 foot width will verify and then get dimensioning also onto the site plan to accommodate that. Industrial discharge permit will be required and pretreatment. So our mechanical engineer is obviously engaged on the project. They'll review the treatment needs per regulations and will provide details on permit level drawings. Stormwater management plan was the next item. Obviously, this is being about an 80% set. That will come into further detail as we get into permit level plans and 100% finalize these items.
Can I just ask a clarification on that? So we did file our drainage report.
Yep.
That's includes everything that we do for stormwater management. Is there something else that the city's looking for?
Is there a separate stormwater management plan in the back that tells the operator of the site, once everybody's gone and the building's built,
Yes.
how to maintain the stormwater system?
Yes, so there,
We're looking for.
yes, there is a section, that operation and maintenance plan in the drainage report.
Just refer to that.
Okay.
Yeah. Next question was relating to saw cut, mill, and overlay limits of work. We would just ask, where is the delineation points that Portsmouth would request?
From wherever you're disturbing through the intersection to wherever you're disturbing.
Okay.
Because it's all relatively brand-new pavement, so
So-
it'll be fixed once you're done.
Right now, we show the delineation point stopping just before the intersection at both Corporate and International. You want us to continue through that intersection, or are we okay stopping just before?
It depends on what goes on with that handicap ramp.
Okay. Brian, is that enough detail?
Yeah, if we disturb the curb, then we'll fix the pavement.
Okay?
Next question was relating to all valves and hydrants must be open left and must stay open left on gate boxes. Assuming this is to be something that we can update on permit drawings from that standpoint as a general note.
Keep saying that, so I just want to, because you're not used to working here, this is the only technical review you get, so this is the last time the drawings get reviewed. That's why we're specific on, we want to see all these things, because none of these people are going to review this again.
Okay.
So we need to get all this stuff on the set.
Okay.
So that we can say, yes, we can sign off on it, then it go to the plan.
That makes sense. Thank you for your clarification. Invert for the drain manhole. I just wanted to confirm location that this was being referenced at. Brian, I'm not sure if
I
you...
think we addressed this one. Maybe it's just a carryover from a previous comment. We have inverts on all the drain manholes. But if there's one that we missed, you can let me know.
I think it was in the detail. It didn't really show an invert in the detail.
Okay. We generally don't show them on the details because it's generic detail for, and there are many. There's
So I think you're
multiple.
confusing the invert elevation versus actually building an invert.
Oh, a
inside the
shaped
structure.
invert. That's right.
Yes.
Okay, I do remember this conversation.
Okay, so just check the detail.
Can we just have a quick conversation, because drain pipes obviously come in at different elevations. They don't all share the same invert. So we don't typically do a shaped bottom on a drain manhole.
So the main carrier pipe, traditionally around here at least, because the ground's so flat, does go through usually at the same elevation. Then you might have drop-in pipes. So the drop-in pipes are not a concern. It's really just keeping the main flow
Okay.
through the flow line. And then if you have drop-in pipes, that's fine. If they don't have some kind of sluice way,
No.
they don't need to.
Okay. I'm not sure I have your condition where there's a trunk line. It's very segmented, where it's captured and discharged.
Yep.
Is it possible that the condition you're talking about isn't on this site?
It's possible.
Okay.
Without reviewing every structure, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Okay. I will double check and try to be clear in the response.
But the manholes shouldn't have sumps. They should be, the bottom should be the pipe.
Right. Right. I think when they construct them, I mean, there's usually a little bit, just because that's
what we don't want.
right. Okay, let me look at it.
Usually it's 5 inches below the, yes, but that's what we want filled in.
It has to be brick and mortar?
Doesn't have to be. It can be concrete in drainage structures, and sewer structures has to be brick and mortar.
Okay. We can fix that.
Okay.
Moving on to remove references of Radburn Street in catch basin detail. That should be
Definitely.
a quick, easy one from that standpoint. Next question was fill, or comment should say fill annular space around boot and catch basin and sewer manhole details with mortar. I think we just were discussing that, so that will get updated.
So that's the.
That's a little
annular
different,
space
yeah.
around the pipe inside
Right.
the structure. Yep.
Water services need to be sized by mechanical engineer. That will be confirmed and relayed back to civil engineering drawings. So if there's any updates that need to be made, they will be made.
Okay.
Show piping in infiltration chambers with distribution manifold detail from the manufacturer.
So I'll just jump in there. We're not proposing a manifold for these systems. It's not required. Certainly, we can provide one if the city thinks it's necessary, but they don't require a manifold system. We have access to the isolator row for maintenance and cleaning out, and then the stormwater just goes through the sides of the chambers in stone.
Yeah, I think it was the isolated row that we wanted to detail.
Okay, I can make sure that shows up.
I think they're, in this particular case, they're talking about the same thing.
Right, but we're not proposing to connect every row of chambers.
Right, but the isolated row is the one that collects the sediment.
Yes,
That's what we want to see in the detail.
yes.
Just want the manufacturer detail on the isolated row.
Okay,
Shows them how to build it.
no problem.
Next question was about planting and loam seating details must meet city standards. Was assuming that this was a generic comment that needed to be updated on the drawings.
Gonna have to do a little research. I'm not sure what that means, but I already talked to the landscape architect about it, so she'll track it down. Can anybody just
She should
know offhand?
call our parks people.
Is it a seed mix or
No, I think it has to do with the loam as opposed to.
like a
the-
percentage of
Yes,
organics
it's
and?
different percentages.
Okay.
Sorry, who should we be getting the landscape architect?
Colin Hallowell.
Corin Hallwell.
Corin Hallowell. Thank you.
And that's a specification that we have to meet? Because I'm assuming that they're going to strip all the,
Anything that's in the right of way. Yep,
just the right-of-way?
that's all they care about.
Okay. Okay.
Next one was about snow storage areas. We probably need to just make sure we reevaluate snow storage, make sure that proper amount of space is allocated for that. So I think we could do a review on that with Brian and just make sure that we're accommodating for Portsmouth. Water main taps for the city staff. Was Portsmouth looking to see just a generic comment on there or details within the drawings?
Construction note, so
Yeah.
they know who to call.
Okay. And then kind of going along with parking lot, previously 8-foot wide ADA van aisles require no parking signs per New Hampshire RSA. So that,
Can I ask, would the city accept us doing an 11-foot parking stall and a 5-foot drive aisle? That is also acceptable under ADA for van. It just feels like sometimes signage overload on these accessible parking spaces.
Yeah, either ADA standard is acceptable.
Okay, so if I do a 5-foot loading, but the stall is 11, I don't need the no parking sign.
Correct, yeah.
That, I believe that would be the preference.
Statement 20, install fire hydrant in front of building off of City Main on Corporate Drive. Brian, can we just make a quick update to the drawing on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Telecommunication and electric service connection should be open cut. So right now we had shown directionally bore. That was based on a conversation with Eversource. But yeah, we can definitely get it updated, make sure that it is open trench, and then we'll,
You're replacing the pavement anyway.
Yeah.
Most importantly, the water main out there is AC, I believe.
I think it is, yeah.
So,
I can hear that.
want to make sure they don't drill through anything that's, they're not supposed to drill through. No, stuck the line. Maybe it's been replaced.
When we did the flow test, he did mention it was AC, the pipe.
Okay, so if it's AC, you should put a note on a plan, just letting the contractor, putting them on notice that there's hazardous waste to deal with whenever they tap the main.
we'll update that in the construction notes as well. And then obviously, once we show the open trench locations, we'll delineate then the mill and paving and where it goes back to. Last item was, please indicate which sheet is the recordable site plan. So that technically would be C-102.
Can we have a quick conversation about that? This drawing is it's not in a recordable format right now. Is that something that the city requires? Is there any exception because it's a PDA project? I know they asked for a waiver for 24 by 36, so already there's a registry issue. It has to be 22 by 34. And then there's a lot of other things the registry doesn't allow. Grayscale, no lines crossing text. There's a lot of things that have to go in to make a plan recordable at the registry. Is that a city requirement?
We require, the PDA is going to record, you record the site plan, correct?
Good afternoon, Michael Mates, Director of Engineering with the Pease Development Authority. Typically, we don't record the site plans at Pease. We record the subdivision plans. And for this property, the property's already been subdivided, so it's already been recorded.
So you don't record anything?
We don't record site plans typically, no.
All right.
No recordable plan? Because it's not a simple thing. I mean, obviously we can do it, but...
Right, if PDA doesn't require it, then we're not going to require it.
Thank you.
I think those were all the questions and/or statements which came through today.
All right.
Is there any other
Are
feedback?
there any other comments or feedback from TAC? Pat?
I have one more thing. The 15 by 35 loading zone space in the back, do I recall from the workshop that's for EMS?
You're talking at the, what would be the east, we'll call it southeast corner of the building?
Yes.
That's correct. It was set aside for not only EMS, but also delivery as well. So there's a component of a loading dock, which is lower to allow delivery trucks back there, and then there's a spot for loading zone in the back as well for emergency.
Can we get a turn-in template for the ambulance based on our ambulance? And I can send you that. You should email me.
Yeah.
Probably fine, but. Getting into it's no problem. I'm going to go in and back up, but turn around and coming out is what we want to see.
Any concerns with that, Alex?
No, I mean, that was more just if somebody's loading, I want somebody to be able to, pull up and pick up a patient or collect a specimen or, do something small. I actually used to be an EMT, so I've navigated plenty of sticky spaces in Boston and have a lot of bad memories of that. So I wanted to make sure that it was dedicated space that was easy to get into.
Yeah.
Do you have, Brian, the template that you need for the auto turn for the fire engine?
We have a number of aerial ladder fire trucks, so I'm just going to make sure it...
You can email me, I'll send you ours. All the information you'll need.
Eric?
Yeah, I saw that the trip generation memo provided in the packet. Is there going to be a full traffic study as well? Is that a Pease requirement?
I was going to say, Mike Mates did ask us to do the trip generation memo, and it was a bit ambiguous of whether we would require to do a full traffic study as well.
Michael Mates, Director of Engineering, Pease Development Authority. We did not request a traffic study on this project. It doesn't rise to the level of, say, air cargo or Lonza. And typically in these situations, we ask for a traffic projection, which the engineer usually provides through the ITE handbook. And that is sufficient for us. However, if you believe that there's more work that needs to be done or studied as far as traffic goes here, then I encourage you to ask for it or give a third-party review a chance.
Because typically we'll ask for a study when you see over 100 trips in the peak hour, which we do have here in the evening peak hour. But, I mean, it wouldn't be a large study. It'd probably just be, an intersection on either side of the development, just to see what the impacts are to it.
Certainly, if you feel that's warranted, then please make that a condition.
Yeah. Especially where you're coming into the, the main intersection right there down the street. It certainly has an issues. It would be good to get an updated analysis of that intersection.
Okay.
Peter?
So I see you have loam and seed areas at the end of the parking lots and some other specific areas. Then there's basically the wetland buffer area that you've left alone. Is that intended to be left alone to reseed naturally? Do you have plans for that? It's not clear on the landscape plan what they're going to do in that area. And to me, it seems like if you're going to leave it natural, I think you should put that note on there. And that would be our preference anyway. At least our City Conservation Commission would want that. But if you had plans to loam and seed it, then I want to know about that.
Plans would be to leave the wetland buffer as it currently exists.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful to add to the landscape plan, because they might get confused and think it's that whole area and
Yeah.
want it mowed or something. So let's,
We wanted
Avoid
to
that.
mitigate all impacts to wetland and wetland buffer, so.
great.
Any other comments? All right, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this? Or if anyone on Zoom would like to speak to this, please raise your hand. All right, seeing none, we'll close that portion. And back to TAC for discussion or motion. Seems like we need to see this another time.
Yeah. Does anybody have a list of everything we need? Hopefully you have it.
I have a list.
And you have a list, okay.
Just a point of clarification, Eric, are you
Yep.
requiring that traffic study be done?
Yeah, they should at least look at those two intersections on either side of it, International at Corporate and Corporate at Grafton.
And do you want that study before we come back here? Because that study's going to take a few more weeks than it would to make the rest of these updates.
Yeah, we really should see that before we
Okay.
go on.
We'll talk to Scott, who had done our initial just traffic count review, and see. I know, obviously, as Jason's pointing out, we've been seeing traffic studies take 6 to 8 weeks in general, so it is a bit of a protracted process, without a doubt.
So I'd make a motion that we postpone this application to our next TAC meeting with the information requested on the list, and that came up at the meeting from Eric in terms of the traffic study. Any other new ones that weren't on the list?
Well, Pat and the whole shifting in the traffic aisles,
And then, shifting the traffic aisles.
fairly significant change.
Show, the new plan should show the shifting the traffic aisles, yep.
All right, there's a motion.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Who was the second on that?
Shanti.
Shanti.
Thank you.
All right, next up, I'm going to read both items B and C together. Item B is the request of Bantry Bay Associates LLC, owner for property located at 0 Shearwater Drive, requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval for the subdivision of the 2.23 acre lot into 9 conforming single-family lots. Said property is located on Assessor Map 217, Lot 2-1900, and lies within the General Residence B District. Item C is a request of Bantry Bay Associates LLC for property located at 0 Shearwater Drive, requesting site plan review approval for the construction of 9 single-family dwellings with associated paving, stormwater management, lighting, utilities, and landscaping. Who's here to present? Neil?
Hey, good afternoon. Neil Hansen with Ty and Bonds. We're the civil engineers for this project. So we were here last month for TAC work session for this project. So we're taking, it's an existing single lot along Shearwater Drive that formerly had about 25 or so units on it, and subdividing it into 9 single-family lots. If you go to the existing. So the existing, or the buildings that were on these lots have previously been torn down. The driveways and parking areas are still out there, but the buildings have previously been removed. So the proposed project is to subdivide this single lot into 9 single-family residences. Included in the packet was a architectural depictions of, I believe it was 8 or 9 different building types. We've depicted a variety of those on this site plan. The intent would be that the final buyers of the lot would select from the list of available units that would be built. We did take a look at sort of a matrix of each lot and which building types fit on each lot. So not all building types would be permittable on each individual lot, but each lot does have multiple options for building or house types. So this, we are proposing to rebuild the sidewalk along Shearwater, along the frontage of the site, as well as milling and overlaying the same extent of Shearwater with new driveways for each proposed house. The next sheet for the drainage and grading plan. So we are proposing to have stone infiltration drip edges along the fronts and backs of each of these houses where feasible. We're also rebuilding the drainage between Shearwater and the outlet points on the Shearwater side of the Market Street berm. I know we got a comment related to that I'll touch on in a bit. And then on the utilities, we're showing new services for water, gas, and electric for each lot. We have been in touch with Eversource. I still think we are waiting for some final feedback from them on services, but we have engaged with them to begin that process. And similar with Unitil and the gas service, we have been in touch with them as well. Landscaping, at this point, again, we got another comment on this that I'll touch on in a bit, but we are showing replacing some of the trees along the frontage that will get removed as part of this, as well as a few larger trees in the rear of each lot. Similarly, in areas where we're removing some existing mature trees as part of this project. So that is, we also included on this, in this package, an easement plan of all the cross easements that would be required as part of the subdivision. Once those will get finalized by the project surveyor for recording, once we get to that point. So that's the general overview of the project. So I'll get into the comments which we received earlier today. So the first comment is regarding the sidewalk along Shearwater being concrete, 5.5 feet wide with a grass strip between the curb and the sidewalk. So we are showing concrete sidewalks. We'll make sure that we get them 5.5 feet wide. On the grass strip, so the way we have this shown with the sidewalk up against the curb on the western half of Shearwater was designed to save the existing street trees that are in that area, which is the applicant's desire. If the city wants us to remove those trees and push the sidewalk further off the street, we can do that, but the applicant would prefer to save those mature trees along the street in that area.
Yeah, I think we're fine with that. I'm not
Okay.
sure how that ended up there.
Yeah, I think it's the first 4 lots have some mature street trees, and then we pulled the sidewalk back away from the curb once we got past that point.
I think we're good with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have a preference on how wide the grass strip is? I think we're showing 3 feet? We're showing 3 feet.
That's fine, too.
Okay.
Yep. As long as it's not less than 18.
Okay. Old water service taps should have corp closed and capped at main. So we do have a note, utility note 19, that speaks to that.
Okay.
It says if the existing water line is less than 1 inch in diameter, it shall be capped at the main. New copper line and water shutoff shall be constructed. Are we not permitted to reuse any of the existing services? Do you want all new services?
It depends what the material type is.
Okay, but if it's copper, we're okay?
If it's copper and it's large enough, then I think it makes sense to reuse it.
Okay. 3, abandon or replace all existing cross-country drains with HDP to Market Street. So we had shown on here replacing with HDP to the Shearwater Drive side of the berm that runs along Market Street. The intent was to not get into that berm. Again, there's some mature vegetation. It's a pretty well-established berm, and we were looking to avoid doing any work that cut through there.
You want to slip line it instead?
I can bring that to the applicant if those are the options.
That's your options.
Okay. We'll bring it back to the team and see what they want to do.
Okay, yeah, replace it where you can and slip line the rest if you
Okay.
want to.
Replace CMP drain and Shearwater near Blue Heron Drive with HDP. I think we're fine doing that. There's, I think, 2 different runs that I'm assuming you're referring to both of them.
The line that picks up the city street drainage, we're going to want replaced entirely.
There's one that goes parallel with Shearwater across the Blue Heron intersection, and then there's one that crosses Shearwater. Are you wanting both of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then replacement out to, so you're putting a drain manhole right by a drain manhole. So that's again because of the trees. See the line, yeah, so the lines are gonna have to get slip lined.
Are you looking at
So you got,
behind like
I
the?
moved on. So this pipe and this pipe need to get changed.
Yeah.
This pipe needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
This is all plastic, going to be plastic.
Yeah.
And then you need to slip line this to make sure that this doesn't collapse underneath this berm, otherwise all these drains are gonna stop working.
Right.
So we're gonna want that done. So slip line this line, replace it to the drain manhole, and then this pipe over here, I don't know if that's getting replaced, or just, this is getting abandoned, this section? There's a little pipe, you see that? I'm behind lot, the lots aren't listed.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about though.
This pipe, is that pipe being replaced by going this way instead? Which I'm fine with, but it doesn't say abandoned.
Oh, yes, I think it's on the demo plan as being abandoned.
So we're either replacing or slip lining everything, all the way out to Market Street. Okay?
Gotcha.
So there's no chance that the pipe's gonna collapse and the houses are gonna end up getting wet.
Okay. Number 5 is use city standard planting and loam and seed details. We can add those to the plans. That's easy. Drainage easements should extend over cross-country pipes to Market Street right away. So I think we looked at that. I think we missed. There was one that we had missed that we noticed. I think it's on lot 3 there. I think is that the?
This is lot 3.
Yeah. Is that the little section that's being referred to in this comment? From the easement to the right-of-way line?
Probably. Just make sure that it is everywhere.
Okay. 7, correct drain details show mortar and annular space around the boot connection. It's acknowledged, we'll make that revision. Off-street improvements, sidewalk to Granite Street, crossing Market Street, and installing pedestrian signals as part of crosswalk. So the applicant feels this is a large ask for a project that's 9 single-family residents where 25 or so existed already. They're already providing significant offsite improvements relative to the scope of the project, including rebuilding the sidewalks along the frontage of Shearwater, as well as milling and overlaying Shearwater Drive. I'm guessing that this is not something that we can I guess, finalized today. And if that's the case, I think the applicant would like to get a meeting with city staff to review this further.
Okay.
9, relocated hydrant should be 10 feet from driveways. We can make that revision. Show brick under curb stop and water service detail. We'll add that to the detail. Thrust blocks for hydrant should be 2 by 2 by 2 in precasts. We'll update the hydrant detail to show that. Will the proposed drainage infrastructure tie into city infrastructure? It will. 13, how do you intend to overcome the doctrine of merger? I have to admit, I do not know what this is, and we will have to pass this along to someone on the project team who does.
Yeah, it's going to be one owner of all the lots with easements going across them, so,
Initially, yes, but then they're all going to get sold off.
right, so before they're sold off, that's where the issue comes up, so
Okay.
you can check with legal or
Yeah,
your legal team.
that's
Yeah.
way outside of my jurisdiction.
It's, it protects the property owners in the future.
Yeah.
They don't lose an easement that was approved at the planning board, it was recorded, and then they didn't,
Okay, well,
they change it or,
take it to someone who knows what they're doing.
yep, yep.
Will you be requesting a waiver for the maintenance bond? That is the preference of the applicant. Is that a waiver that gets requested to the planning board as
Yes,
part of the package?
part of the
Okay.
planning board process.
We will add that. We'll be doing work in the right-of-way. Yes, we will. Sidewalks, mill and overlay, some utility work. How do you propose to treat stormwater before connecting to city infrastructure? So the roofs are going to go into the infiltration drip strips. We at this time haven't proposed any other stormwater treatments.
We need more? I guess we just wanted to, we didn't see anything, and we saw a lot of pipes leaving the site, but if that's enough treatment to have the infiltration along the
As
foundation?
far as I'm concerned, the houses are, just the drip strip is enough to
Okay.
mitigate.
Yeah,
Just wanna make sure
we're
it
also
wasn't-
reducing total impervious from the existing condition as well.
Yeah, okay, good. We just didn't see anything, didn't know what was going on at the far end, if there was some kind of rain garden or something we missed, but it's just grading, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah. Just, yeah, that hill went like right up to the back of that house.
And the
So
soils are suitable for infiltration there from the,
I believe so. We have a report. I don't know it off the top of my head though, but we did look at that. I'm assuming it's in the drainage calcs, but we'll certainly double check
I
that.
guess what I just don't want to see happen is that all the stormwater from the site goes into our storm drains, doesn't go into the ground, but it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what currently happens. And so
So it's an improvement.
it's an improvement.
improvement.
Either way, it's an improvement,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Please enhance the landscape plan. So we, again, I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, we're replacing some of the bigger trees we're cutting down. The intent was that as the lots are sold off, the individual owners would be responsible for landscaping the property as part of constructing their house. We can look at adding some additional street trees, but I think the intent was to leave the lots kind of open for whoever purchases them to landscape as they see fit. I don't know if there's anything else, any other thoughts to that?
Yeah, I think there was just a thought that there wasn't a heck of a lot of landscaping. I understand your point, the homeowners want to do it, but it doesn't seem
We
like.
can take it to the applicant and discuss it with them and see if there's anything else we can, if we can add a little bit something more.
Sidewalks more than we need landscaping on private lots,
Yeah.
honestly.
And then 18, where are the 3 circles in the corner on the easternmost lot? It's the tree protection line. It's called out on Lot 2 there, install and maintain tree protection barrier for duration of construction, typical. We can add a second call out.
That's all right.
To make
We
it
just
more
didn't
clear.
know what it
but-
was.
Yep. So I believe that was all the comments we received ahead of the meeting. If there's anything else, I'd be happy to address it now.
Anything else from TAC at this point? Well, I'll open that up in just a second. Any other comments? Shanti?
These are not condoed then, is that correct? All right. I was just wondering about that whole doctrine of merger thing. Seems a little odd. We have one parcel, we're subdividing it. All of the civil engineering, stormwater, everything is all included under this site plan, but you're looking at it as individual parcels, and therefore the easements would be problematic because you're assigning an easement to oneself. Is that the issue?
Right.
That's the issue. Yep.
And we've got to figure out a way to get around this at some point.
Well, legal has a way that,
Yeah.
I think Trevor has a way you can record it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm assuming this is the first time this has
No.
come
No,
up.
it's come up.
No, it seemed like, yeah, it seemed like it's always been complicated, but maybe
It's
it's not
complicated.
anymore. Yeah.
I think he's got a way, yeah.
All right.
All right, anyone from the public like to make a comment? Please come up and state your name.
Hi, my name's Paula Skelly. I live on the other side of these lots, and I wasn't very clear about how many trees you plan on cutting down, like behind the houses, which is kind of a barrier between us and the noise of the highway.
Yeah, I don't have an exact number, but we're not touching that berm at all.
Okay, so when you say berm, you mean like all the big pine trees, like right behind? Yeah, what's a berm? Sorry.
It's the hill.
Is a mound of earth, so underneath all those trees, there's actually an earth berm, and that's actually what's blocking this out. The landscaping is covering the berm, so you can't see the big mound of dirt, but the big mound of
Okay.
dirt is what's blocking this out.
All right.
Yeah, so that is about, it's about 4 to 15 feet high, and then there's trees all along the top of it. We're not touching any of that. So there are, on the 4 lots on the right of this, there are trees that we're going to be clearing out to give some space. But
So in the corner right by the cul-de-sac,
yes,
those are where you're going to clear out the trees?
some of them, yes, not all of them.
Okay. Just, they're, oh no, I hate to see that. But of course, I can't visualize exactly how many you're saying, just because it is a very good noise reduction. Exit 7 on 95 is just right there, and that's been helpful to block the noise. And another question is, how tall are the buildings going to be? Are they just 2-story?
I don't know off the top of my head.
They look like they're 2 stories in the samples they gave.
Okay. And when would the building start? It's just another question. Approximate. Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
Depends how fast they get through this board and then the planning board, right?
Okay.
Get sold.
So you think minimum trees?
Right. Then they got to sell each individual lot, and then that buyer would then maybe hire a builder to then build his home. So
Okay.
it could be, a year to 5 to 10, depending on how soon the
Okay.
lots are sold.
All right.
But in this economy, they'll probably be sold pretty quickly, so more than likely within the next couple of years would be the guesstimate.
Okay. I would just request you minimize cutting down trees behind the houses. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Laurie Soloway, and I live next door at Spinnaker Point. So I just wanted to reinforce what she's saying, too. We don't really want to see the trees disappear, because it's a nice barrier for all the good reasons, for the noise, but for the beauty. And we're just an advocate of it. I know a lot of the neighbors are all talking, and just want to make sure that all the trees aren't going to be cut down.
And just so you guys know, you might already know, but this is the technical review committee, and then it goes to the planning board as well for approval when they get through here. So that'll be a future meeting either
Okay.
next month or the month after.
I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you're on Zoom, would you like to comment on this application? Please raise your hand. If not, we'll close the public portion. Back to committee for discussion.
We'd have to drive by the houses if we were to. I don't know. Actually, I can't look.
It's in the middle of. That's a good spot. It's halfway. A couple on one side, a couple on the other.
Yeah. That'll work.
Anyway, ready to move this on, or do we need then to come back to?
The comments are relatively minor. The only thing that's really of issue is the crosswalk.
Crosswalk and the doctrine of mergers.
And the doctrine of merger, right. Which the applicant's representative didn't even know what it was. Didn't Google it before the meeting like I
I
did.
Googled it, but I'm not. I read it and then above my pay grade.
I think that's something they probably can get addressed.
Yeah, I
before
don't
the
think
planning
that's
board.
something that needs to come back before us.
There was a couple public work comment that seemed like they might have been significant, but if you feel like you can,
I think that if they gave us a plan set with a revision checklist and said this is what we did for each thing, that we could review it before the next planning board meeting, I think that would be okay. And then the only thing left is, of course, we'll want an answer on this crosswalk before you go to the planning board.
yeah,
Because they will want input on that before it goes there.
they're going to want that input, yep. So we'll set up a meeting before that meeting. That doable? Eric? Probably with Eric?
Right, well, that would just need to be resolved prior to submitting for the
Yeah.
planning board.
Yeah, whatever that takes. Okay.
So in that case, I'll make a motion to move this on, understanding that the final plan set needs to be reviewed by Public Works at least before the planning board meeting. And the final detail regarding the crosswalk and whether there's a contribution or whether it needs to get built or neither. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
And they'll resolve the doctrine of merger too. Doctrine of merger.
Yeah, I think
That'll be in there. Yep.
Yeah.
They got on their list.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, 111 State Street is postponed, so we have no other business. We're adjourned.